what I want to do here is this. Everybody, he's in a really weird kind of a palsy face here, but this is Stephen Greer, right? He's a ufologist, but he's really a an emergency medical doctor. So he was actual physician for a long time in emergency medicine. He's from North Carolina. When he was a kid, he saw a flying object close to where he lived, and he was around 8 years old. And from then, he kind of believed. And then at 35, he had another experience. So he was trained. There's a couple facets to him. Of course, there's the scientific side because the man's a doctor, but at the
Right.
same time, you're looking at somebody who is studied transcendental meditation. So aside from being a scientist, he's also kind of into the new agey kind of stuff too. So he's all about which is not a bad thing, greeting these UFOs or these extraterrestrials in peace and not militarizing anything to not get ahead of ourselves and try to kill them before they even talk to us because I feel like that's kind of the way we are as a warlike people,
Absolutely.
right? So he's the founder of the study for extraterrestrial intelligence called CSETI. He found that in 1990, and he has, I mean, he's come up with a huge amount of disclosure effort to be able to bring this to the DoD, the DOJ, Congress, to be able to actually look into what our spending is, all these deep black projects. And he founded the Disclosure Project, which is the goal is to make everything public and kind of give everyone the keys to the castle. Because ultimately, what we're talking about here is propulsion systems and getting rid of the petrodollar, right? So the petrodollar is what makes the world churn. However, if we were to find some 0 point energy, if we were to find um, some kind of propulsion system where that makes it a thing of the past, yes, there would be some losers like Exxon, BP,
Hmm.
Shell, things like that. However, it would just propel us, no pun intended, into an age that we couldn't even imagine. Right? There would be no famine. There would be no need for these things. Economies would collapse, I think, because if we're not buying what people are selling, because suddenly this is not the way the world is run anymore. There is going to be some growing pains, but like everything in the world, I'm sure the printing press was something somebody wanted to suppress, but here we are, right? So let's go to Dr. Stephen Greer. Funny face, but he's got a lot. So this is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, his name is Michael Herrera, and I want to go into this is a forum they had, I believe it was June 12th, right? Monday, June 12th, 2023. It was a symposium that they had in DC as a second part of a disclosure effort coming, via Dr. Stephen Greer and all his funding. This guy has lost about $12 million of personal wealth just looking into this shit because
Goodness
he just could have been a
gracious.
he just could have been a doctor,
Doctor made good money.
right? But for some reason, he felt it in it was he had to take it upon himself to be able to save us from ourselves, really. So let's take a look at Stephen Greer, and he's going to introduce, I believe, Michael Herrera. He was in the Marines, and he's going to give us a story on disclosure. And this is the first time. This is the whistleblower coming forward just this month. Let's take a look at this. Sorry.
Of you, it would take hours, but I want to give you a sense that this is really the tip of the iceberg. These represent 0.5% of the Disclosure Project witness list. So the next gentleman I'd like to introduce has become a figure of great support for us. He's a Marine who in 2009 in Indonesia had a direct encounter with one of the man-made operations, and he is Michael Herrera. He has very courageously come forward. The first time he contacted me, because I know of these sort of operations that he came across on his mission, I told him that every single person I knew who knew about what he had seen had not lived to tell this story. He is enormously courageous. Thank you, and welcome to Michael Herrera.
I kind of want to say before, so we can set it up a little bit better. What he's about to talk about is really heavy shit because people ultimately have died for this, and if it's something that our own government is hiding from us, there's blood on their hands. There's also secret trades behind closed doors vis-a-vis drug trade, human trafficking, smuggling, anything that we can get our hands on. And I
Right.
believe that the CIA has something to do with this. Ultimately, I believe that some high level three-letter agencies also have some dark parts of it. I'm not saying all of it, some dark parts of it that have, their hands in some grubby shit so they can continue this.
They
Not,
very well could be.
not to mention, we can't account for about $3 trillion in the Pentagon budget, and
That's a lot of taxpayer dollars.
the five failed audits. So again, when you compound all of these things with our lack of faith in the federal government and the fact that they've been hiding this for so long, this now becomes a national threat not knowing about it, because now there's a deep black budget that Congress doesn't control. We don't know where the fuck it goes, and it could be nefarious or not. So that's not the way we built the Constitution. That's not the way the United States is built upon. It's a fun story when you think about, I wonder if you have aliens, but this story is going to knock your fucking socks off, because now you realize the depths of what the government can do and what they can be responsible for nefariously. So sorry, that was a little long, but I really wanted to set that up because
I got you.
there's some fucking bombshell shit here.
Well, thank you all for being here. What I'm about to tell you hasn't been something that I've disclosed until recently in the help of Dr. Greer, among other people, so I appreciate your help with this. In 2009, my unit, which was most degraded infantry battalion in the entire Marine Corps, which was 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, was called in to do humanitarian assistance operations out in the Philippines, which was Operation Quetzana, which we were attached to the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, which conducts maritime operations all throughout Southeast Asia, in conjunction with the 7th Naval Fleet, which houses one landing helo deck, or LHD, among LPDs, which is what I was on, called a USS Denver. Ironically, that's where I'm from, so kind of felt like home. Now, during that operation in Quetzana in the Philippines, they had actually heard that a tsunami and earthquake hit the western part of Sumatra, which is western Indonesia, Padang City more specifically. Out of all the ships in the 7th Fleet, the ship I was on was the only one that was routed to that location, which was oddly strange, but then again, this is my first humanitarian operation, so I don't know the logistics of it, but if the skipper of the ship would probably know that information. So this happened September 30th. We ended up getting called and dropped anchor around October 8th. We are briefed in the ward room, which is the officers' mess, where they eat like their cafeteria per se. We're briefed that there is some of President Obama's family members that are present on either in the city or somewhere near there. They had a SEAL platoon that was ready to go to retrieve those people. Us knowing well that Indonesia is also the 2nd largest terrorist capital where they train these guys, and they'll send them up to whatever theater of operation where anybody wants a piece of the United States, they ship them up to go handle it. So we know that well, and we were then briefed that we were going to be armed during this operation, just to also provide security for the transportation coming to basically drop off medical supplies, sheltering items, food, purified water, things like that.
Can we take a moment to acknowledge the legitness of this guy? This guy, I don't know how much more legit you can be. So for anybody out there saying like this is bullshit, this is, or even more to the credit of the people who say it's just us, because what he's about to show is pretty crazy, and his account is amazing. But I just want to say, like, there's no impetus for this person to lie, to ruin his life, to be able to put everyone that he's ever known in danger, just to let this go, or to lie about this to Congress, because all these papers have been given to Congress now.
And here's the thing. There's plenty of people that could confirm this.
752 just under Stephen Greer's watch.
They might not come forward and do it, but there's hundreds and hundreds of people that were attached to the 93rd unit that he was attached to, and can say, we were there. We were there at that time. We got briefed on this. Yes, that happened. Yes, this happened. Same way if you try to tell me, oh, you weren't in the Air Force, or you try to tell I am Dave, you weren't in the Navy. No, can tell you plenty of people that was there exactly same time. I could tell you exactly what was going on.
Like in you remember the movie Coming to America?
Yes.
He's like, where were you at? Ding dang, ding dang. He's like, oh yeah, I was out there by ding dang, bing dang. You know,
Yeah.
like you can't fake that shit. Either you were in or you're not fucking in.
Right.
Let's take a pause here. I want to make sure to play Rocksteady's message before it gets a little stale, and then we'll go
Please
back
do.
to Michael Herrera.
Sounds
I've
good.
got to say that my experience with like kind of mental telepathy was the time that I did DMT, and I know it sounds strange, but it really gave me a proper insight to what it would be like, because with my encounter, it's like I came across this extraterrestrial being, right, and it was communicating with me like telepathically, and as it was happening, it was in his language, and I couldn't believe that I could understand. At the time, I'm going, holy shit, I'm understanding him, and that's not what I thought it would seem like with mental telepathy communication, but it was. It's really hard to describe. I believe that, you know, obviously DMT is that chemical gateway, and there may have been an encounter. I don't know, but it certainly gave me a really good insight to what I never thought what it would be like to communicate like that. It was strange.
I thought for a moment that was going to be a joke because we've never not made a joke every time we've ever spoken. So, and,
Right.
and I've known you for 2 years straight, and we did a podcast every week. So, and everything was a constant joke. But I love the fact that that was a real thing. And yeah, I think DMT will totally fucking connect you if you start to believe. Let me answer this question really quick. Hey, Jane Anya, first of all,
Hi,
this is
Lisa.
fine to say hello. And then AC, where to leave a voice message? You leave a voice message at the Midnight Media IG, just like you do for the married couple, but just do it over on ours here on Midnight Media _TV, and you can leave a voice message that goes for anybody in the crowd. If you want to type in a question, or if you want to actually have us hear your delicious voice, we're here to do both. So yeah, let's do that. Boom, awesome. And then, oh, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. What were we talking about? As far as
His legitness.
his legitness, right?
Yeah.
So, and the DMT thing. Sorry, the DMT thing for Rocksteady. I
Yes.
believe that once we all understand and believe that we are all one, we're all one mind. Let me quote the great Maynard James Keenan and say, "We are all one mind, capable of all that's imagined and all conceivable." And once you realize that we're all connected through a string of invariable energy that we cannot escape, and we are just eternal beings encapsulated in this body at this moment in time, I think that is what DMT is. It realizes that we are just one mind and we're capable of so much. Sorry.
It's perspective.
Yeah. So, okay. Sorry, Michael Herrera. So let's get back to Michael Herrera. Super credible source, right? He's disclosing right now what's going on. Obviously, I stopped that because I wanted to make sure that, holy shit, Lisa. Okay. Oh, okay. I see your one message. I thought you left me 4 messages. I'll play it right now, right before we get into Michael Herrera, and then he's gonna disclose what his Marine experience was in 2009 Indonesia.
Right.
Hey, I get to leave a message.
Woo!
Hey, hey Nanya. Hey
Hi,
AC. Good to see you, Nanya. Missed
Thank
you.
you.
And yeah, hey, I'm here having an early lunch and listening to you guys and kind of multitasking by watching old episodes of Law and Order SVU.
Oh, the best.
Yes.
There you go.
I am here. Don't know what you're talking about, but I thought I'd leave a voice message.
Thank you, love. Well, welcome to the show. We've been at it for about an hour
Yep.
now, but we're talking about UAPs and aliens and kind of the disclosure thing that's going on lately. Thank you
Yep.
for leaving a message. Clap it up, everybody. As far as I know, Lisa, and let us know if that's true, Lisa finished her last round of radiation.
Not a girl.
Not a girl.
Not a girl.
Happy to do that. And yes, Allison is right. Leave a message on Midnight Media on Instagram, and we can hear your lovely voices. Back to Michael Herrera. The dude is a stud.
Right.
There's no question that this guy's legit, and what he's about to pop off is serious.
So they ended up selecting certain Marines to go ahead and do this. We were only in sticks of six Marines, so it had NCOs on top of other Marines to help with that. So we again boarded CH-53 Super Stallions, which are gigantic helicopters that are roughly 100 feet long. I love the design of them. It's my personal favorite. But we ended up boarding this on the ship, and we flew to the southwestern part of the city, which is Padang. Looked a lot different through satellite imagery that I've recently seen. Back then is a lot different, especially because most of it was decimated, on fire, rubble, flooded, you name it, basically the worst kind of scenario you could ever see. From then, once we touched down on this landing strip, it took probably about 2 minutes. And then again, the pilots got radio confirmation to go ahead and drop us into certain parts. So we again dropped to a hasty LZ, which took probably about 6-7 minutes to fly to from that position. And we dropped to a hasty LZ. We got off the bird, and what we were instructed to do at that point through the briefing was to push to a high ground at least to get better observation. As a Marine, the tactical advantage that you get from having a observation from a top point is you see everything clearly. You could also coordinate from there. At that time, we had did a tactical column, which we are able to get eyes on pretty much everything, especially with 6 Marines, so we have the effective communication at that point. If we need to engage, we can properly do it within the amount of ammunition we've got, as well as the weapons that we got, which were only M16A4s. So at that point, we decided to push forward. We trekked up about 300 meters. At this time, I have a Panasonic camera that has the ability to take photographs. It has a ability to take videos, obviously. When we got to this high point, I was taking video camera, and I had actually turned to the north, which just kind of slopes down. And right there was something that stuck out like a sore thumb, especially with jungle terrain, things like that. Vegetation, very green stuff, was something that stuck out so well. It's always going to be basically imprisoned in my mind for the rest of my life, and it has been for 14 years, was something that was rotating, and it was transitioning between colors like a light matte gray as well as a dark matte black. So in between, that's what it kept, and it was very smooth. We had all looked at each other as we got online, and we decided to investigate. The further thing I want to say is that I actually took pictures and video of this before we actually trucked down. We had a dump pouch where we basically, if we expend ammunition, we want to retain our magazines, so we put those there. So I dropped my camera in there, and we decided to go down. We didn't have any communications, which was weird, and that was a very odd thing, and it's something that either could have been good that we didn't, or it could have been something that could have been very bad. And it just however you want to look at that. Once we got down this slope, we were approximately 150 meters away from this craft. When we all got to the point where we could see it, just like behind here, again, Mr. Schratt, phenomenal job. You can see that the craft here actually was roughly about 300 feet. And the reason why I know this is because you could fit 3 of the helicopters that we flew in on underneath this craft. It was rotating a clockwise motion. The panels here that you see, the black ones, at least 3 of them, was like a Vanta black, very dark. I have no idea what that was. On the very top, there was like a pyramid structure that you could see the shadowing of it, which would elicit that was a pyramid structure. And it had an audible hum to it, kind of like a guitar amp if you were to unplug that, or like a transformer. It's very audible. If I was to hear that sound again, I could tell you, okay, it's probably this thing or something similar to that. It's very distinct. And the way that it was floating, which was about 15, 20 feet off the ground, it was kind of a very eerie thing to see because I've never seen anything like that in my life. When we got up to that point, we were then intercepted by a team of soldiers or rogue military force, if you will. The most concerning thing about this is they all had American dialects. They had American gear. They had OTVs, black. They had black camouflage. They had very similar setups to what we have, but more high speed, something what you would see special operation groups these days have. They had no insignias on. They had no ranks. They had nothing that would signify who they were. They had black ball caps. They had M4A4s that were equipped with ACOGs, which was a step up from what we were currently issued, as well as PEC-16 IR illumination devices that you use for night vision and night patrols, things like that. So we were engaged. We had 8 of them put the drop on us. You could audibly hear them blow the safety selectors off. They basically started screaming at us, telling us what we were doing. We were not allowed to be there. Who were we with? What were we doing there? Threatened that they could kill us right then and there. We could get lost in the jungle. They could throw us out of a helicopter if they needed to. It was very nerve-wracking at that point, especially looking to my fellow Marines and seeing the reactions on their faces too. We were all freaking scared, to say none the less. So with that being said, Each Marine was then patted down along with myself. Had our weapons taken from us. They were basically cleared in condition 4, which means they had no round chamber, no magazine in. They dumped our magazines out of our mag pouches as well onto the deck. And then again, because of Marine Corps order, how things are with that, we were told to keep our military ID in our left breast pocket. So they knew that. They asked for our military identification. We gave it to them, obviously, because they have guns in our face. So provided that to them. They had something that looked like modern day smartphones, but this is 2009, so it's not really as high tech compared to obviously today. So they took some pictures of our military ID, and then they had something that remind me of a BAT system, which is a biometrics tracking system that we would use. This is for insurgents or anything like that. It would take fingerprints, it would take retina scans, it would take pictures of them and document them. So if there was other militaries that were coming to relieve our post, they would actually have this information too to know who they are dealing with. That's what it reminded me of, and I had trouble scanning the IDs. As this is going on, we're going back between these guys as well as what's going on in the background. At that time, there was 4 of these trucks, which were F-350s. They were up armored. They were pretty beefy. They had weapon cases that I've seen before because of something that we've actually loaded weapons into. They had 2 of them that were in the back of each truck. They also had these containers that was illustrated right here, which come to find out through recent revelations from yesterday from somebody who came forward to Dr. Greer. I don't know who they are, but what they had told him and what he has told me is that this gentleman knows exactly what these were used for because they had like a cylinder on the front, which is either for oxygen or what I hypothesized was for vacuum sealing, which lead me to suspect that they were smuggling narcotics or drugs. Come to find out it's more disturbing than that. This gentleman has firsthand account with this and says that it was for people. It's very disheartening, especially because that part of the world have already gotten ravaged, and it's something that is very hard to see right now because of what I've witnessed, and it's very disheartening. And this is why I'm up here. So they loaded these onto this platform that you can see right there, and as I got up there, like I said, I was going back and forth. These guys are still searching our stuff. They're still, pointing their weapons at us. And after the last 2 trucks that I saw that actually got into that platform unloaded, they had 4 guys in each truck that would unload everything. However they did it, I can't tell you because, again, I was focused on this as well. And these trucks drove off. As that happened, this platform actually rose up off the ground itself. The top part of the craft actually met it down in the middle like this, and it formed into one solid piece. It floated right above the tree line. As soon as it was able to break that tree line, it actually had on the corners of each of these, which was an octagonal shape craft, by the way, on each corner it emanated a light. It was either red, yellow, green, or blue. Only those 4 colors I can distinctly remember. It didn't make any additional high-pitched sounds when it rose up. Once it got past that tree line, it shot over to the left, basically where the ocean was, at so fast, I would estimate probably 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles an hour instantaneous like that. There was no rotor wash, no exhaust that would disturb the trees, vegetation. The coconuts that were on these trees were not even touched. It produced no sonic boom. This thing was so fast. So as that happened, they basically had told us to turn around. As we turned around,
I didn't want to stop this. I know it's gone a little long, and of course, you guys can watch this. I didn't want to stop this because this testimony is so compelling. And this man, when he says disheartening, he's really telling you that my fucking country broke my heart. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much.
My country broke my heart. I well up a little bit because I can see this guy probably has a tough time really saying how he feels, feelings, right? He's a tough guy.
Right.
He's seen things that I couldn't possibly imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell if you read between the lines, you can see this man is broken because his country. He saw other people speaking English, American dialects, with better weapons, with ACOGs, with M4s that are better than what he has, better fatigues, guarding something that he didn't know about, where he thought he was protecting his country. Are those guys the ones that are really protecting the country from the military?
Right.
Would they have shot those guys?
Or are they just straight backdooring it because they've got that unlimited, how many trillions of dollars of unaccounted for money
There's that, but also he was very disheartened by the fact that there was a slave trade. There was basically a people trade,
Right.
you know, in this part of the country in Indonesia that was ravaged already in 2009. There's people being trafficked,
Hmm.
and we're trying to save this place, and you are coming in to what? Rape it of its resources, its people. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And it's fucked up because you know what? I would love to get to know that fucking that's an amazing piece of technology that hovers off of a craft. It's an octagonal UFO that hovers off of a platform and goes 5,000 miles an hour without disturbing a coconut. I would like to get to know that. I would like
Right.
to understand what that is. It's fascinating. But now it's tainted because it's also tied to human trafficking, drugs, smuggling, the black operatives that are so deep black Delta fucking forces that they have better shit than our military does. And they're willing to put the drop on them.
Here's the thing. Let me tell you this, AC. Even when I joined the military, and I was only military light, right? I was in the Air Force. It's not like I was a pilot. I was anything. I was there. I was going to get my honorable discharge. I did all the basic training I did. But let me tell you, in basic training, they pump you full of fucking red, white, and blue. They will show you every fucking patriotic video and make you feel like you are the fucking last line of defense for
Superheroes,
everything
yeah.
that's gonna fucking go on. You are serving your country. They literally pump you full of red, white, and blue. You can't avoid it. They do it in basic training. Some people get emotional about it. Some people are like, whatever, it's a job. It's fine. But they do their best. That's why they shave everybody's head. That's why they put you all in the same uniform.
Yeah.
That's why you're forced to sleep all in the same room.
Right.
There ain't nobody special here.
Right.
But guess what? We're going to pump you full of red, white, and blue tomorrow. And you're going to come out feeling proud, ready to fucking get your dig on. Do what you got to do.
And lay down your life if you have to.
Absolutely.
And to a certain extent, there's nothing wrong with patriotism, swelling up with pride, wanting to serve your country, giving everything you have to something that you love so much, a land that has given you so much. God knows that I am
Mhm.
number one for that.
I'm a genealogy nerd. My family's been in this country for 250 years, 300 years.
Imagine that.
Even through settling the West. I mean, it's red, white, and blue, baby. It's the way it is.
How many in your family had to lay down their lives and fought and died just throughout those 250 years to be able to be where we are now?
Enough.
You know,
Enough.
of course. And
Literally.
some give more than others. And I have to, I thank you because sometimes some families, I'm sorry, everybody does their part. If you join the military, if you join, everywhere from
Mhm.
the Navy to the Coast Guard, all the way. If you're a cop or a fireman, if you're giving that kind of civil service, my hat's off to you. You're fantastic. Some families have just given more in blood,
Right.
have paid more blood sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is disheartening. I'll use his word, disheartening, because look where the fuck we are. Look at this. So we have a military above a military that's willing to kill our military to keep a secret to what?
That's
Smuggle drugs.
that's what bothers me is the fact that there are back levels to this game. And there's ones that they just keep the American public naive on. You're never going to hear nothing more than rumor on a lot of this stuff because they just want you dumb and uninformed.
Complacent, working,
Vote. They want you to be distracted by gas prices.
of course.
They want you to pump into the oil game. There's a whole political side to it, but there is a whole back culture. There are levels to how deep it can get behind what the American public gets to see. That's why a lot of times when stories like this one, for example, come out, they sound so far fetched. Well, that could never happen. Really? Could it not? Could it not?
Do you know why we can't believe it? Because we don't know, as people who have worked their whole lives, don't come from money, exceptional wealth, like things, fuck you money, like
Right.
shit, like I can
Right.
buy and
No.
sell you.
I ain't a billionaire, son.
Right. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can literally kill you and I won't go to jail for more than a year,
Right.
those kind of people. Because of those people, we just don't, it's all dirty, and it's given an air of like everyone can be bought, just like we feel like today with corporations. We know that when we talk to someone, or if we have to deal with something, it's all corporations that are behind it. And we kind of put that veil and kind of just trudge along our day, but we realize that BlackRock, Vanguard, like 3 companies own the world, right? So even when Fox News and CNN battle, it's the same 2 fucking people, because the same fucking umbrella company owns them both.
Fucking
So it's all theater.
distraction.
It's all
Smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors.